My name is Todd Harris, and I'm Chief Operating Officer of Hi-Rez Studios. We are a studio located outside of Atlanta, Georgia in the United States, and we're here at Gamescom in Cologne talking about the game Smite. Smite, it is positioned as a 3D action MOBA. So you might be familiar with games such as League of Legends or Dota 2. Those are MOBA games, but with Smite, the big difference is the camera. It's a third-person camera, and all the graphics and environments and animation are in 3D. So it plays more like a 3D shooter or MMO PvP, but within the framework of a MOBA. The other big thing with Smite is the theme. It's a theme of mythology. So you're playing a god. We have gods from various pantheons. So here, for instance, is Agni. He's a fire god from the Hindu pantheon. And then we have Egyptian gods like Anhur, physical range god. Others such as a Chinese god, Ao Kuang. And so as a player, you choose a god, your teammates choose a god, and then you engage in session-based arena combat. Smite is a little different in that we have multiple game modes. Most MOBAs only feature 1 or 2 game modes. But in Smite, we have multiple. You can of course practice with the tutorial or co-op, but the real meat of the game is player versus player. Conquest is the main game mode. For MOBA players, this will be very familiar. It's a Dota-style 3-lane map with a jungle, but your end objective is a Minotaur, so it's like a boss fight. The Minotaur comes alive at the end. But that's the most familiar mode for MOBA players. But then also, Arena mode is like team deathmatch, so still 5 versus 5 within a Roman Colosseum, but much more casual form of combat. Domination is more familiar to shooter players. There are 3 points, and it's a capture and hold King of the Hill style map. Assault is our version of all random, all mid, so you get a random god, so again, a more casual experience. Joust is a small single lane map, so we can play 1 versus 1 or up to 3 versus 3. It's quite popular as well. And then finally, we have a match of the day that changes all the time. It might be Greek versus Egyptian, or male versus female, or everybody's Cupid. It's just a fun game mode that changes every day. In the game, there's also party system, clan system. Every one of your match statistics is recorded online, so you can see statistics of which gods I'm playing the most, which roles I'm playing the most, which type of matches, and how I master gods over time. And also, it's kind of nice that we've integrated live streaming into the game itself. So at any time you can turn on the game and watch people streaming the game Smite, and you can also broadcast directly from the game. Here we see someone that's broadcasting the game Smite. So here today at Gamescom, there's a few big announcements that we're talking about. Number one, we've showcased a big graphical improvement of the maps. So the Joust map, the Conquest map, and the user interface have all gotten a big graphical upgrade, and Arena map is next for a graphical upgrade. Number two, we've communicated a very important strategic cooperation announcement. This is really the major news out of Gamescom, and that is a partnership with Tencent Games. So Tencent Games is the largest game publisher in China, the 3rd largest internet company, 4th largest game company in the world. They've selected Smite to publish in the Asian markets. So they'll be starting a beta in China this October. And that's good for players all over the world, because a larger community means more players, means more resources for us as a developer to give you guys new content. The other big announcement that we communicated is 10 versus 10 support. So most MOBAs are a maximum of 5 versus 5, but this winter we'll be introducing technology and user interface changes to support 10 versus 10, which will be crazy. So we're going to start by doing that in Match of the Day. It won't be a regular game mode, but every once in a while, players can look forward to Match of the Day with 10 versus 10 on Arena or Conquest, and that should be fun. And then finally, with the cooperation with Tencent, we've been working on a new set of gods for the Chinese market. Of course, all players get them, but we really wanted to make sure our Chinese gods were authentic. So for the god Guan Yu, he's currently in the game, but he's getting an improvement. He's going to change from magical to physical, because that matches his lore. And Guan Yu historically was depicted on horseback, and so his ultimate ability, his number 4, will be riding in on a horse and dealing a lot of damage. The next god we'll include from the Chinese pantheon is called Zhong Kui, and he is a collector of souls and controller of demons. And both Guan Yu and Zhong Kui will be released next week, so players can look forward to playing. Final point is the game is of course free to play. You can download and create an account. You get access to 10 gods for free, and then you can unlock others with time or microtransactions. Our first priority is to expand the existing pantheon. So we have 7 pantheons. Some are quite developed, like Greek, but others, like Mayan, are not. We have Xbalanque from the Mayan pantheon, but there's many more interesting characters. So we'll start by rounding those out, and then in the future we'll look at new pantheons. We're currently in beta. It's more of a soft launch, but we haven't focused on localization yet, but we will. Definitely we see large player population across Europe. Our European population is actually now a higher percentage of our beta than the US, and so it'll be important to us to translate into the languages of Europe. We want to improve ranked play, so it was important to us early to develop a competitive scene for Smite. We want it to be accessible, but also have competition in esports. So we put in a rank system very early into the game, even when our population was not that large. So one challenge is just the population in a particular region, because the ranking and matchmaking can get better with a bigger population, so that will improve. But we are looking at a new system for ranked because we're not satisfied with the current system. So the short answer is we're looking to improve that system. Esports is very important to us. The first thing we've done as a developer is put features into the game. So we have demo recording and spectator mode, and we've had that for some time to provide a good viewing experience that allows you to navigate the map, snap to a player, see a player's item build. We've recently, just last week, added a chart of gold and XP over time, which is a nice view that MOBA players expect. Also, because the game is 3D, you can do slow motion, which allows for some really nice post-production or rewind and slow motion replay, which is a really nice viewer experience. So that's number one, is good feature support. We will continue to improve that, but we think we're in a good place. The second is weekly tournaments, so regular competitive play. So every single week there are tournaments online. There is every Saturday the best North American teams can compete for $1,000 in prizes. Every Sunday, the best European tournament teams can compete for $1,000 also. So we're seeing already very good participation in that. The next thing is LAN tournaments, and so we're doing that right now on an event basis. So at PAX East, we had a US tournament. Here at Gamescom tomorrow, Friday, ESL is hosting on the stage 4 invited European teams, and they'll be competing for €15,000. Next week, PAX Prime in Seattle, the 4 best North American teams will compete for an equivalent prize pool. So those are the LAN tournaments, which will be event-based. And when we eventually release Smite, no date yet, but when we do, we will have a large tournament that brings the regions together, and that will have a $100,000 prize pool. And finally, I'll mention that we're seeing already good interest from sponsors and teams that players would recognize. SK Gaming, Dignitas, they have Smite teams currently competing, and so already there's interest from these very well-organized esports teams. Well, I would say for players in Italy and elsewhere in Europe, definitely we encourage you to try out Smite. If you've played MOBA, this is like a MOBA with more action, and maybe you don't play MOBA, maybe you play shooter games or MMO PvP, you might want to try this because the combat feels more similar to that. So we welcome you online and hope you enjoy the game.